Every fast-moving and developed city has its drawbacks, but the community can contribute to the solution simply by working together. Whether it's corporate responsibility or the education sector making use of reusable resources, or even the people within a company or institution, there is always a way to make a difference in the world. In this episode of DV, Joyce journeys around the city to speak with a group of individuals who have created a lasting impact on the local community. Together. We're starting in Quarry Bay, at an office furniture company that prides itself on providing sustainable solutions to its clients. Let's check in with Joyce to kick us off.
These days, we're all looking for ways to live more sustainably. Thing is, no matter what walk of life you come from, there's bound to be a way you can contribute to your community. And there's always people looking for that helping hand. Today, we're talking to a few people from the corporate world that's taken the lead to connect with local communities to make a difference. Let's see how they do this. Pam, can you tell me more about the business and the inspiration behind it?
The inspiration came about from 30 years of experience in this industry, where we have been involved in the supply and installation of furniture. But there's this massive gap in the market for what happens after it's reached its life cycle use. So what we decided to do was explore our sphere of influence and what we could really do in a meaningful way to repurpose and reuse the furniture that often goes into landfill. And to give you an idea, over 1.25 million tons went into landfill in 2021.
Wow, that's a
lot.
lot.
There's a huge amount that goes into landfill. And this is a massive industry. This is a $550 billion industry globally. So we need to address the furniture crisis and the furniture waste crisis. As you can see, looking around us, this is just a very, very small snapshot of some furniture that we've managed to save from going into landfill. Many of these items are practically brand new.
Yeah, they look very new.
So we can very easily take these items from a site and repair them, fix them, clean them, and manage to get them back out into the market, where they can be donated to NGOs, schools, universities, and other small businesses who may not have the funding to buy new.
Essentially give them a second life.
Exactly. Every project starts with an inventory compilation. So we go to site and we thoroughly check all of the furniture and we create a digital inventory list. Once we have that list, we then work with the client to tailor a plan of reuse and redistribution to determine what can be donated, what can be reused by the company, what could be given to their staff, and then anything else that needs to be repurposed or recycled. At the end of that whole process, we compile all of the information, all of the data into a really thorough report that gives the client landfill diversion rates, as well as carbon emission savings and all the other information that clients may need for ESG reports or other LEED certification. Exactly. So it's a very, very powerful tool, not just for any ESG reporting, but also for PR, marketing, internal, external engagement.
So what's the kind of impact that you're trying to create here?
Ultimately, we want this to be the new normal, to be very frank. We want this to be integrated into every part of a project. So anytime a client moves or renovates, there is always an aspect of reuse and redistribution that's built into a project where the norm is not just to throw everything away.
So this is like circular economy, right?
Exactly. The whole purpose of a circular economy is to reduce the use of natural virgin resources, to recycle as much as possible by giving things a new life, and ultimately reduce the cost. If we can reuse and keep things in use for as long as possible, we're ultimately reducing the cost of furniture.
So how do you think the situation in Hong Kong is, and how does that affect your business?
I mean, Hong Kong is a very prosperous city. It's a world city. There's a lot of business that happens in Hong Kong. But the side effect of our prosperity is that there is a huge waste of furniture. So we're constantly growing, but with that economic growth, it means more and more furniture is just getting purchased and dumped every year. So our business is trying to integrate a sustainable model and a sustainable approach to this growth rather than the traditional way of just buy, use and dispose.
We have been having some discussion with governments and other businesses. Basically, we work towards the government waste reduction targets and also the 2050 carbon climate action plan. So basically, we work with government departments, also other businesses, NGOs, civil societies to create a circular economy in Hong Kong and also reducing waste and keeping things in use here, either here or within the GBA.
How do you think this kind of government support influences your own initiative here?
I think the framework of the 2050 carbon neutral target give us and other businesses, clients a lot of pressure in finding the ways to reduce their own carbon footprint. And so it encourages us, like everyone, just to find ways to reduce waste.
It's like a motivation as well, right?
Motivation, and also companies do have their own targets, especially with the regulatory requirements from Hong Kong EX or other international bodies. And the thing is that we're trying to grow the circular business in Hong Kong. So it's really trying to get the users, trying to get the businesses to value the assets instead of just like, oh, we're done with it, just chuck it into the landfill. Just value the item, value the resources that was put in producing it.
Give them another life, extend it.
Yeah, exactly.
So how would you define the success of this initiative?
People just change their usual practices when they start in procuring product. Just think again whether we need that. When you choose an item, can you choose something that have lower carbon footprint, designed for recycle, designed for reuse? That's the very beginning, and that helps a lot in the later stage. And coming towards the end of life, consider to reuse it yourself, and then see whether anyone that you can help, donate to an NGO or send it to a second-hand market. There's a lot of room for the local second-hand market to grow, and there's a lot of support needed, and changing people's behavior, changing the culture and using pre-used, pre-owned items is
And hopefully more and more people will adapt to this approach and like to use things, recycle things, and give them an extended life. So could you share with us one of the projects that you've worked on?
So a few months back, we got to work with a public-funded secondary school, and we relocated office furniture from a financial institution to the school. So now the students got to sit on some high-quality checked task chairs. Also, we got them some electronic items and tables. This means like the school got to save money in it, and then these can be redirected into improving learning environment and also get new software.
So in terms of logistics, how did you actually get the furniture to there?
So we first approached AISIA. Howard is very helpful from there. And then we work with him to understand the school needs, demands, and what's the school design for the space. And then later on, we identified the suitable items from our project. Our furniture team went in to do a condition check and deep clean, and we arranged a full refurbish and full check before the items were delivered to the AI lab.
What a great way to give back to the community. I can only imagine what this does for students and their schooling experience. Looks like Joyce made it over there to find out more.
So Jerry, as a student, what do you think about the workshop renovation?
在装修之前呢，这间教室是一个很普通的电脑教室，学生都是一字排开的形式来做的。在分组讨论的时候呢，就会发现第一个位到对面那个位置的同学呢是很难交流的，而且很难就是一起合作做手工。但是装修之后呢，我们的教室由一字排开的形式改为了围在一起做，就是以小组的形式来排列。每个小组都有每个小组的电脑，还有屏幕，可以一起面对面的向对方展示自己的想法，还有自己做完的成果。我们可以将我们的成果分享给我们的屏幕上面。
So apart from giving you a more comfortable and better learning environment, how do you think using these recycled furniture has inspired you?
这让我明白了那些原本他们是不想要的东西，但是在我们教室用了之后，我才发现，其实这些原本他们觉得没有用， 或者不想要的东西呢，没想到我们用起来其实很舒适也很方便。这让我想到，哎，如果我在外面呢，如果看到有一些没人要的凳子，我也可以拿回去进行改装，可以在桌子上面增加一个扶手，还有或者是可以放一个杯子、手机支架，甚至是个折叠桌，可以让我更方便起来。
And that's the beauty of recycling.
We've made our way to a school in Lok Fu, who are benefiting greatly from sustainable efforts made by the corporate world. After listening to a student's perspective on the enhanced classroom experience, Joyce seems ready to do some more digging to discover what else the school is leveraging through their corporate partners in maximizing their new resources.
It was an amazing chat with Pam and Cosmo. I feel like their efforts really created an impact on the students here, inspiring them to do more and teaching them how to actually be a part of the circular community. Just walking around here, seeing the way the school is set up, and talking to the students, I feel like the school can really inspire other schools in the city. How? Well, let's talk to the educators here and find out more. So, Mr. Kong, as a teacher, how do you feel about this workshop renovation?
So Mr. Kong says the biggest difference after the renovation is seeing the change in the method of learning the students are now experiencing. In the past, teachers would teach and students would just sit in silence. The new layout encourages small group discussions and the sharing of their work afterwards. It's a big change in the learning style.
So apart from the change of learning environment, how do you think using recycled furniture has inspired these students?
Mr. Kong says the key message that they want the students to take away is that they should explore ways to recycle items and see who can benefit from them. This project here made everyone realize that recycled things, like the classroom right here, is beautiful. It has helped them become proactive and engaging in their classroom tasks. He hopes students keep up the idea of upcycling and learn the importance of helping those in need.
So how does this all fit in the circular community that you're building?
Mr. Kong also says that after school, the classroom turns into an elderly learning academy where students teach the elderly about technology. And sometimes on weekends and public holidays, the school opens the classroom up to the public. With students running various IT courses, it's a great opportunity for them to practice their communication skills.
It's incredible to see the domino effect that this has created. Seeing students volunteering their time to keep paying it forward is so inspiring, showing how everyone can indeed make a difference.
Mr. Man, so what was the vision for this school?
As the vice principal of the school, Mr. Mann says running a school is about providing the right tools for students to explore their potential, which is also the mission of their school. They always partner with different industries and universities, hoping to offer a different curriculum to the students so they can reach their potential.
So what was the process like? Did you come across any difficulties?
Mr. Mann says the most difficult part of this process was finding and convincing people that their school is using resources to help the students. So a lot of the times, they compile and use students' success stories, and at the same time, the students can reflect upon the journey and keep track of their progression. It's known that there's a disparity between what the business sector wants to do and what schools need. So he keeps working on ways to shrink the disparity gap, and meetings and discussions always help. One of the biggest challenges they face is finding a suitable partner that will result in a win-win situation.
So with the school here, what you want to do is offer more than just the traditional subjects. You actually want to offer different curriculums where students can find different ways to let themselves shine.
Mr. Mann says a student's growth is aided by various people like teachers, parents, industry professionals, and even universities. But when they've grown, they should give back because a lot of people help them throughout their own journey. When they've achieved something, they should give back to the community in their own ways. That is also why they hope to achieve the objective of creating a circular community in their curriculum and inspire others to do the same.
喺呢間學校係我哋喺唔同嘅課程裏邊都呈現緊。
And that's the importance of circular community, right?
係啊。
And why you want to start from school.
Yes，譬如我哋啲
Mr. Mann also mentions a lot of their alumnus often go back to visit and ask the school how they can give back to their underclassmen. We hope to nurture empathy in a student's life. They can use their creativity and knowledge to create a product or service that will benefit the community. This is a type of sustainable, circular teaching method that they want to continue at this school.
Making this vision a reality has certainly been a process. It should serve as encouragement to other schools in the city that there are outside resources in the greater community available to improve your curriculum. But most of all, the positive influence it has on students is what makes all the hard work in making this happen worth it.
So, Mr. Wang, can you tell us about the student experience here?
According to Mr. Wong, their students can experience a lot at school. It's not just academics and textbooks. For example, the students can use a simulator to practice flying and driving. He said traditionally, learning is done in classrooms, and that lacks realism. So through the use of simulators, students can work with their teammates to build a car and learn how to modify it to go a certain speed. The process is a great way to give them hands-on experiences to continue their growth. These are things that can't be learned in a classroom setting, which is why we think this is the way of the future here.
So I understand that you do different collaborations. How do these collaborations help enhance the student learning experience?
Mr. Wong says they've taken the students out drifting, though some people might think it's dangerous and they don't understand the point of doing it. In fact, students can learn about friction and steering angles while being in the car. Both of these topics are very helpful in learning about physics. And the school has also taken the students to airlines to learn about catering services and pilot training.
So they get to learn a bit about everything, not just the textbook side, but also the practical side. So Howard, what inspired you to do these various partnership projects?
The main inspiration actually comes from my work, my social enterprise work. In social enterprise, we often talk about the combinations and the synergy between the business sector and the social sector. So in this particular project, I would say, why not both? So that the academic sector, the business sector, and the social sectors can work together for the benefit of the education, for the next generation to understand more about how the resources and the efforts from the community and from the business sector can work together in a project like this. The current challenges of the educator face are mainly their time. They are loaded with lots of academic and administrative responsibilities. So they may not have enough time to outreach to the community. So my job is to help them to connect those interested parties, bring them to the school, and brainstorm ideas together to use this space. I call this space. School is a wonderful space that we can generate this kind of synergy among business sector, academic sector, and the social sectors.
So what are the changes that you made, and what does it mean to you to actually make these changes in your own school?
The major change, I would say, is mindset change. School, supposedly that you will welcome people to come over maybe during the open day, but the mindset change for this school is that we make it like an open schools, so that the elderly sectors in the Wong Tai Sin district can come over for our elderly college. Students can be part of the volunteering efforts, that they can have the elderly being the so-called teaching assistants, so that they can learn from this teaching and learning cycle. And the mindset change bringing to the teachers is that students, teachers, and the community can work together for the betterment of the community.
And what's the message that you want to bring across to students that are actually studying here right now?
I think the key message that I want to spread across is to do good and do well in the education sector. This is the space that they can train their mind, their practices, their attitude towards the community.
So they start from young, and then they can actually be a part of the circular community.
Exactly.
So what would you say is the timeline?
In 5 years' time, I would say that this serves as a model example, or like a model school, so that the business sectors and the social sectors can come over and contribute. An example like all these rooms that we are learning artificial intelligence and the IT curriculum here are supported by different universities in Hong Kong. In 10 years' time, I would say this is a sort of long-term plan. We hope more schools will have that embracing arms for the business sector to come to the school more often. Don't think school is always, closed with the doors, that you can only visit the school during the open day. Every school should be the open school. And then the resources can be utilized by
and benefit the wider community.
Every stakeholders in the community. Exactly.
From being a student and benefiting from better learning environments, to growing up and being part of business corporations that share resources with education sectors, to reaching the next stage of life and being able to continue learning in the same facilities as elderlies. That's the beauty of a circular community. It allows us to benefit in all stages of our lives. But in order to foster a circular community in our society, it requires more than one person's vision, one company's help, and one group's will. It requires a whole community to help realize this collective vision, to help close all the loops and let all things like in life run a full circle.